I'm Jeff Matlow. Welcome to the best leadership podcast ever. Hey there, welcome back to the pod. I love that you're here. Make sure you hit subscribe. By the way, if you feel like your leadership looks good on the outside, but inside something feels a little wonky, it's probably because of those unconscious patterns that are limiting your growth, and you don't even know it. I put on a workshop called the Leadership Diagnostic Workshop that uncovers those hidden patterns in your life and puts you on a path to overcoming them. And I'm telling you, once you see it, you can never unsee it again. The link is below. Also at my website, thebestleadershipcompany.com. And now, my friends, I want to talk to you about decision-making and dating. I was out on my run the other day, and I got to thinking about a client about a year ago. And I watched the leadership team spend 6 weeks debating whether to use Slack or Teams. 6 weeks. They created a decision matrix, and they had too many meetings to talk about things like adoption risk and long-term scalability and all those other things that really could be done in one email. They even called an IT consultant, for God's sakes. See, though they didn't fully admit it, I know the CEO was scared that they weren't going to make the right choice, that if they ended up having to switch back and forth, the staff would get confused and frustrated with them. Blew my mind. I mean, it's just a messaging app, bro. You can switch back and forth. That's allowed. But still, most of the leadership team just couldn't see that. Because in their minds, this wasn't a small decision about communication tools. It was an important and permanent commitment that they thought was going to define the company's culture, communication, and success. They were treating the decision like they were contemplating marriage. You'd be surprised to learn how many leaders struggle with decision-making. Or maybe you wouldn't be surprised. But I'm surprised, and it's got to count for something, right? What I've noticed in my executive coaching work is that most leaders aren't actually bad at decision-making. Most leaders are bad at knowing what type of decision they're making. That's a really important distinction. Almost everyone is good with the obvious black and white decisions. But most leadership decisions aren't like that. Most leadership decisions live in the gray area, where you may not know the impact until after you make the decision. The problem is that people tend to treat most of those decisions as if they're irreversible. Like one wrong move is going to destroy their entire legacy. They treat decisions like there's no backsies. There are backsies. But some people will spiral into analysis paralysis. They say they need more data or more time or more meetings to discuss the same damn thing that they discussed in the last meeting. And there's a solution to all this. That's the good news. And guess what? I'm going to tell you what it is. But first, we need to talk about dating. I don't know your relationship status. Honestly, that era of a relationship not being official until it's on Facebook was super helpful. But that ended about 10 years ago. So unless you're in an arranged marriage, you probably know the game. You go out on a bunch of dates, few of them turn into more committed relationships, and in the rare case, it may actually lead to marriage. As it turns out, this is exactly how decision-making works. There are 3 levels of commitment in both relationships and decision-making. Here they are. First, there are dating decisions. These are low-risk choices. Sometimes they're fun to do, sometimes not so much. Either way, you try something, and if it doesn't work, you stop. There's minimal pain, minimal fallout, maybe a little embarrassment, but hey, at least you learned something, right? The next are seeing someone decisions. These are more of a commitment. They require a little bit more of an investment. Sure, with seeing someone decisions, you can change course if you need to, but there's bound to be some discomfort in doing that. There always is. Something's going to be lost, but it's not the end of the world. That said, once you commit to a seeing someone decision, it's probably best to stop thinking about other potential choices, even the really hot one that just walked past you on the sidewalk and gave you that look. The last type are marriage decisions. These are life changers. They're really hard to reverse. Once you commit, you're in it. Because changing your mind could mean arguments, lawyers, spreadsheets, and a meaningful change to your company's trajectory. People have strong opinions about marriage decisions. They choose sides. In fact, sometimes you'll be forced to lose the relationship with your bestie because of your decision. Here's the problem, though. Most leaders treat dating-level decisions as if they're being forced to walk down the aisle. It's true. A lot of people treat every gray area decision like it's irreversible. Now, as a leadership team coach, I've seen teams freeze over all sorts of topics. I've seen them freeze over testing a new product idea. That one happens a lot. I've seen them freeze over selecting project management tools or that Slack Teams example I gave you. And I've seen them freeze over figuring out a new PTO policy. And this is why innovation stalls. It's why cultures begin to corrode. Because leaders assume every decision is a permanent commitment. But just like in real life, most decisions are dating level, some are seeing, almost none are about marriage. And knowing which type of decision you're making is the difference between productivity and stagnation. Because when you treat everything like a marriage, you actually create an environment where everything feels like it's high stakes. Your team learns that changing course could mean failure. They learn that being wrong can be dangerous. So everybody gets scared to make decisions, even small ones. They overanalyze and they always wait for more data because the environment states that one wrong move could ruin their professional prospects. To be clear, you're the one that created that culture. It's your fault. And if you're not the leader, it's the leader's fault. It's the pattern of treating everything like a marriage that creates an environment of cautiousness and fear. But there's a way out of this. I told you there was going to be. And it's a pretty easy way. Because once you see it, you're not going to be able to unsee it again. There's a simple decision-making framework I teach my clients, and in fact, I think I came up with it. It helps people become a more effective decision maker and creates more agile and creative cultures. And I'm going to tell you what it is now. You don't even have to become one of my clients. See, I just saved you thousands of dollars. Here it is. 4 steps. First step, be clear on the type of decision that needs to be made. Is it dating, seeing, or marriage? Now, the important thing here is that this isn't about your emotions or fears. You have to let that go. This is an intellectual decision. Number 2, if you think it's a marriage decision, and it may very well be a marriage decision, see if you could break it down into a smaller series of dating or seeing decisions. In almost every case, that can be done. And number 3, match your decision-making process to the level of the actual decision. Now, here are the processes for each. You ready? Get a pencil or a pen or start typing. I don't care. First, for dating decisions, you want to decide fast, test it, and learn from it. You don't need all the information to make the decision in a dating decision. You just need enough to move forward and see what happens. So don't give me that "we're still waiting for more data" excuse. For seeing someone decisions, you want to involve a few other stakeholders. Think of how to make it a long-term committed solution, but you got to plan for a way out. And most importantly, at what point you're going to make the call to move forward or back out, and what are the specific milestones you'll base that decision on. And then there's the marriage decisions. For these, you need to slow down, but don't roll to a stop. You need to keep moving forward. You got to think deeply about your choice and its long-term impact, and make sure you have the information you can reasonably get, then make the decision. The point is, you don't want to freeze out the altar just because you're nervous. Nervousness is natural in this situation. Roll with it. And finally, it's really important to communicate the level of decision-making to your team. In fact, go ahead and teach them this process. Feel free to forward this to them. It will transform your environment. In the end, decision-making isn't about being right. It's about learning fast, and you can't learn fast if you're too afraid to try. Most leaders don't suffer from bad decisions. They suffer from not understanding its level of seriousness. So here's my advice to you. Date more. Experiment. Learn. Have a little fun. After all, you're young, you got a full life of commitments ahead of you. Sure, you're going to make some bad choices. We all do. But you're also going to make some good ones. And in both cases, there's a lot of learning that happens. Remember, if everything feels like it's high stakes, then nothing actually is. So decide more, stress less, and stop treating every decision like it's a marriage proposal. Thanks for listening. I appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast. Subscribe to the newsletter too. The link is down below. And we'll have a talk next time. Sound good? Great. I look forward to it. Have a wonderful day, my friend. Bye.